Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have another brand new Mattel Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous Dino Escape figure to take a look at, and this time it's not just a figure, it's an entire set, as we have the Scorpios Rex Danger Pack here in hand finally. This one was, a little bit of a tricky one to find for me, even though everybody seems to be finding it quite easily at their targets. My target is garbage, as always, and didn't have it, so I ended up having to order it on Target.com, and it got here pretty quickly. But what we can see in this set is that we have, of course, Kenji up there, a Gyrosphere, and a different Scorpios Rex than the previous one that we've already reviewed here on the channel quite a few weeks back. This, again, is a smaller and an alternate paint scheme style version of the Scorpios Rex, but it looks really cool. Again, the articulation looks potentially a little bit nicer on this one in comparison to the previous one, but the coloration as well, I think, might look a little nicer on this one. Very cool looking here at first glance. The actual packaging is pretty much your standard packaging for a Mattel release. It's the really nice Dino Escape packaging, so you know it's going to look great because, in my opinion, the Dino Escape packaging has been the best that we've seen from any Jurassic World line so far. And then here on the back you have an image of the Scorpios Rex and, of course, Kenji taking off in the Gyrosphere to escape the Scorpios Rex, as well as a sneak peek down here of that Raptor Squad release that is currently at Target as well. So really cool looking as far as the box art goes. Let's break this Scorpios Rex out of the packaging and take a look at it right now. So we have our Scorpios Rex right here, who almost fell over. We've also got our Gyrosphere, which looks pretty fun. Unfortunately, it's a one-seated Gyrosphere. Mattel seems to like the one-seat version a little bit better, but I guess in this sense it also works because we only have one human being included, which is the Kenji figure, and very fun addition. It's nice to have, again, more of the Camp Cretaceous kids. If I could get Kenji to stand for a minute here. There we go. It is nice to have some more of the Camp Cretaceous kids included because there aren't too many out prior to this, new rush of Jurassic World figures. I think Darius might have been the only one, but I could be wrong. But again, we are now getting more, as we already have Yaz that we've looked at here on the channel in the past, of course Darius, and now Kenji. So it's absolutely awesome to again have not only a Kenji figure, but an alternate variant of the Scorpios Rex, as there were two Scorpios Rex in Camp Cretaceous. So let's go ahead, jump straight to a closer look right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Scorpios Rex, it looks fantastic detailing wise, just like the previous Scorpios Rex figure did. This time we now have a very dark green for the primary body color, and then like a greenish coloration here for the underside of the Scorpios Rex, and you can also see the upper side darkens with a black. It looks as though the paint is actually a little sloppy on mine. I might have to touch that up. I normally like to keep my figures totally original, but sometimes when you have situations like that, that's just a little bit ugly. I could definitely do without that on the figure. But again, the detailing aspect looks really nice. You have the nicely sculpted out nostrils, some really nice, very fine scale detail throughout the face of the Scorpios Rex. The eyes painted beautifully with a red-orange type of a color, given a black pupil, and also has a very nice glossy look to it, so it has that very realistic eye shine type look. Then we have an articulated jaw, which we can get inside the mouth quite nicely and take a look around, and you can see that it looks beautiful from a detailing standpoint, but also from a paintwork standpoint. The tongue definitely looks nice. Pretty nicely textured as well, which is something that we've kind of been getting skimped out on from Mattel recently, as far as like quite a few of the different figures. They haven't really had such nice texture to the tongues, but this one looks pretty nice in comparison to some of the others. Very nice gloss coat added in there as well, and the articulated jaw is really nice, super smooth, as per usual. And then as we move back here into the neck region, you start to see those ridges pick up there on the back of the neck of the Scorpius, as well as a load of osteoderms and stuff all over the side of the neck leading back here into the neck. You see some really nice tensing and kind of like some skin wrinkles and stuff here in the neck and throat region of the Scorpios Rex. Continuing to move along, you can see how those ridges look really quite nice up here on the back, almost like an armored type of a look to the back of the Scorpios Rex, and the actual detail contained within those areas is beautifully done. The dinosaur continues to have that kind of bumpy look as far as those very large osteoderm-like scales throughout the entire area, just like sporadically spread all over the place. You can also see how nice the actual scale detail looks here, especially in the stomach region where you have some larger scales. They pop really nicely. Beautiful muscle definition in the arm of the Scorpius Rex. As we move down along the body, you can see some of the quills sticking off of the arms right there. It would have been nice to have the quills in the back of the head, but it still looks nice to have them here on the arms. That hand sculpt looks really, really nice, very eerie like the Scorpius Rex looks in the actual show. The nails, although not painted, do have a nice glossy look to them, so they have kind of a appearance like they have paint, but they actually don't. You can see some more skin kind of stretching and stuff here in the stomach region of the Scorpius Rex, which looks really nice. Super smooth transition between that dark green to that lighter green. You can see how nice that transition is right there. You see more of those kind of like armored type ridges that run along the back of the Scorpius Rex right there. As you move down into the leg, you can see the muscle definition looks really nice back here in the thigh region. Very muscular looking dinosaur or hybrid dinosaur. The calf muscle definitely is present right there, but you can see that the legs get kind of scrawny looking in general as you move down the length of the leg of the Scorpius Rex, but that's also kind of the way it looked in the show. It was a very creepy and very weird looking dinosaur, so, it's pretty much what you would expect as far as a Scorpius Rex goes. You have those claws that stick out here in the back of the leg, and then the foot sculpt looks really nice. Again, unfortunately, no nail paint. I really would have liked to have actually had some nail paint there on the Scorpius Rex's foot, but we don't, and we do still have a little bit of a glossy look, and the actual sculpt is phenomenal, but just would have been, again, as always, nice to have the actual paint on the nails. And then moving back up into the tail, the scale detail continues to look really nice as we move out the length of the tail, and then once we reach the actual ending of the tail, you can see all of those quills sticking up out here on the tail. Pretty nice looking curve to the tail as well, so that's pretty fun to see. The opposing side, you're really probably not going to see, honestly, too much difference compared to the previous side because the figure is an articulated figure. You're really usually not going to get much difference when it comes to that, but you can see that the arms are pretty much in the same spot, but the legs are not. As far as like when it's standing, the legs are slightly in a different position as far as the placement goes, but it still looks beautiful on this side, just like it did on the opposing side. Pretty much all the same style detail, but that just means that it looks gorgeous on both sides. You can see that that foot sculpt looks really nice as well. Very, very nice looking paint application to this one as well. Super, super smooth transitions between colors. Like you can see how the black picks back up out here on the quill area. Really smooth transition there. And just the transitions from here down to like that darker green to the lighter green. Really nice transition there. From the black to the green. Again, it's all really smooth as far as the actual transitions between colors goes. It is unfortunate that it has that missing paint up here on the back of the neck. I don't know why that happened. But then on the underside, you can see that that green coloration here runs out until like the pelvic area and then starts to taper off. And then we get this, just primary green color that we have basically for the entire body. There is the Jurassic Facts app code if you would like to add this Scorpius Rex to your collection. But the Scorpius Rex is an absolutely phenomenal release yet again from Mattel, especially if you are a fan of the Scorpius Rex from the show. And then we have the Gyrosphere, which Mattel has released quite a few Gyrospheres already in the past, and it looks really nice just like they usually do. You can see how the seat definitely articulates quite nicely so that the Gyrosphere can continue to roll, but the seat will stay stationary and allow, I guess, Kenji to stay in position as opposed to just, flipping as the thing moves. So I always love that aspect of the Mattel Gyrospheres. I really would have liked to have, again, had kind of a two-seater, but, it's still pretty fun to have a one-seater version as well. I guess some difference in the Mattel line is nice to see. And overall, I think the Gyrosphere looks really quite nice. And then, of course, we have Kenji. And Kenji looks pretty much just like he looks in the show. So they definitely did a very good job on his likeness. I feel like he really, really resembles Kenji from the show, which is a huge plus. The outfit, the sculpt, even his hair, everything looks fantastic and definitely looks pretty much exactly like he did in the show. The paintwork on this is really nice as well. You can even see how his shoelaces are actually painted, and then the bottoms of his shoes. Everything looks really, really good from a detailing standpoint. As far as the articulation of Kenji goes, we have the articulation here in the neck, which can move, side to side. Also kind of like forward and back a little bit. We have the articulation here in the shoulder, which works really nicely, as well as the elbow. And you can also swivel that. We have the articulation in the hip region right here with the legs. You can also swivel him this way or that way, make him dance if you would like. And then articulation in the knees. So pretty much all of your standard articulation as far as a Mattel figure goes, but Kenji definitely looks nice. And then as far as the articulation for the Scorpios Rex goes, again, we have the jaw articulation, which we already saw. We also have neck articulation, which is on a very nice swivel, and a very stiff upward and downward type of a positioning. It's definitely stiff at this point, but it'll loosen up as I move it. We also have articulation in the shoulder. We can go out away from the body. We have articulation in the elbow as well, which is really, really smooth. And then articulation here in the hip region, as well as the knee, which works quite nicely. And then articulation in the tail. It is nice to have this one because this is just an articulated figure. There's no gimmicks with it, no crazy action features, kind of like the previous one had an action feature, so you didn't have quite as nice articulation with it, but it definitely works really, really well as far as articulation goes. And this entire set is honestly awesome. As far as a size goes for the figures, of course, Kenji's going to follow right along in that 3 3/4 inch size range, like all of the human figures usually do, except Nedry, who is kind of short. The Gyrosphere, I don't really know if we do much of a size for this. So you're looking at about 3.5 inches or 9 centimeters roughly. You probably didn't have a very good view of that, but that's what it was. As far as the Scorpios Rex, you're also not going to see that very well because the tail's up too high. But for a length from the snout there to the tail, about 13.5 inches or 34.5 centimeters. So a decent size, but not as large as the previous one. As far as a height goes, at this point, you know, the tail is the highest point, but we could stand him up like this, I would imagine, potentially. Yeah, there we go. So if we stand him up like this, and then we measure to the top of the head, and I just knocked Kenji over, you were looking at about the closing in on 5.5 inches, or about 13.5, closing in on 14 centimeter range. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line in comparison to our Scorpios Rex Danger Pack, and you can definitely see that the Scorpios Rex is quite large, but not as large as the previous version. He doesn't totally tower over the Papo Rex, and I think, you know, is a very nice alternative to the other one, potentially even the superior Scorpios Rex. But size-wise, again, not quite as large, but still really quite impressive overall because the Papo Rex is a pretty big figure, and that Scorpios Rex definitely sizes up very nicely to him. And for another comparison, here is the initial Scorpios Rex that I think it's like the Slash and Battle or something along those lines, Scorpios Rex in comparison to the Danger Pack version. So you can straight away see the differences in color, but also the differences in size. The original Scorpios Rex is way larger than the newer version. They do look super, super cool together, and it's nice to see almost like Scorpios Rex at different ages, and of course the different versions from the show. But you can definitely see that there is a pretty significant size difference between the two, which is really still cool because I love the fact that there is alternate variants of the Scorpios Rex released already. And this should help to show you that honestly both look incredible, and I must say I highly recommend picking up both versions of this Scorpios Rex. So this Scorpios Rex Danger Pack is fantastic. Yet another killer release from Mattel, which is something that they have been just absolutely doing continuously recently, is just delivering the goods when it comes to the Jurassic World line. And this Scorpios Rex is another great release from them with, again, more articulation than the previous one, no action features to it, unlike the previous one, which is actually quite nice because it allows you to pose it a lot nicer and allows you to have a lot more display options with your Scorpios Rex. The sculpt looks very similar or pretty much the same as the previous one. It may just be a kind of like a shrunken down version of the previous Scorpios Rex sculpt, because honestly, when I was looking at the two together, I couldn't really pick out any significant differences between the two. But again, at a much smaller size and different coloration. I do like the greenish color on this version. I don't know which one I would say I prefer, but this one definitely looks quite nice as far as the paint apps go, and very smooth. Again, I've said it a few times now, very smooth transitions on the colors of this one, which looks really, really nice and natural on the figure overall. But again, the fact that we now have really nice articulation with a lack of action features on this version makes this one so much nicer to display, because it creates a whole world of display options for you when it comes to how exactly you would like to portray your Scorpios Rex in your collection. The Kenji figure is beautifully done, really nicely replicating Kenji from the show in picture-perfect fashion, whether it's just his overall appearance, the clothes he's wearing, even his hair. Everything looks great on this Kenji figure, and it's absolutely awesome to have more of the Camp Cretaceous kids now entering my collection. And then the Gyrosphere is just pretty much the icing on the cake as far as this set goes. It definitely looks nice, like every Gyrosphere from Mattel has been so far, and works really nicely overall, and also looks really cool as far as a diorama possibility with Kenji, the Gyrosphere, and the Scorpios Rex. So as a whole, this set is fantastic. Another incredibly nice release from Mattel, and something that I must say I really recommend picking up. If you are a fan of Camp Cretaceous, or specifically the Scorpios Rex, this is definitely a must-have if you ask me. So make sure you head to your local Target, pick up this fantastic Scorpios Rex Danger Pack, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.